apartment where the Wi-Fi is better than my apartment. It is WrestleZone Daily coming to you right after Monday Night Raw, just a few short days away from Money in the Bank, still in quarantine, keeping it mean, and people going over clean. That's what we're talking about. A couple of surprise upsets, ones that really aggravated a lot of different things. We'll talk about tonight. My sound off is going to be pretty activated here. I'm Kevin Callum. Joining me, Iridian Fierro from Rest Friends. Hello, Rest Friend. How are you?
Hi, Rest Friend. How are you, Kevin?
We're getting that thing over. It's going to be over before Fetches.
By the end of this episode. We're definitely making it happen.
You guys can check out Rest Friends on all the different socials and the podcast as well. That's Rest Friend, just with the W before rest. So there you go. I know that it's not like people that that just enjoy sleeping and are friends. I've had to correct some people on that. If you're streaming us live, don't forget to share the link and pass it on with people and get in the mix here. We will have a sound off topic about people misusing the term buried. Iridian, how many times have you heard people misuse, wrestling fans say they're burying this person or this person got buried? It's quite a bit, right? It's a very misused word.
It is. It gets used a lot, and I know I'm dramatic, but I don't even say that people get buried a lot. Like, honestly.
But you see, come on, wrestling Twitter, there's some real criminal use to that word.
Wrestling Twitter's a lot sometimes.
Yeah, we'll get into all of it. What's up, Brian Casper? What's going on, Laura? A couple of familiar faces. If you're streaming live with us for the first time, don't forget to shout out where you're watching from, especially if you're watching for the first time. For you guys on the podcast side of things, thank you so much. We really appreciate the support. Keep giving us those 5-star reviews on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you subscribe to your podcast. Yes, we are working on getting the show onto Spotify. Hopefully something we'll be doing sooner than later, but we're coming to you right after Monday Night Raw. We'll talk about who is not actually buried on Monday Night Raw, who actually came back. A lot to get into. Want to sound off on this? Monday Night Raw started with an MVP segment. VIP in the lounge, the women's Money in the Bank. They all ganged up on Nia Jax. Iridian, your thoughts on the women's Money in the Bank match?
I'm excited for it. I'm glad that the 3 women opened up Monday night. You know, I really have Shayna pegged to win the women's match. She's my favorite going in, and I'm really glad that her and Asuka were able to get revenge on Nia from last week, because they were supposed to have this triple threat match and it didn't happen because, Nia attacked them. But I think this week, we're all even.
Yeah, I agree here. I think they did need to level it out, because it did seem like the whole match was built around everyone versus Nia, which could be a compelling storyline, especially in outside of a ring. There's so much with this Money in the Bank match this weekend. Both the matches are going to be going on at the same time for the men and the women. It's going to come off like Rat Race, the movie. It's a mad world. It's a dash through a building. It's a big, wild, crazy, wacky races. There'll be a bunch of hijinks. There'll be a bunch of weird, fun stuff. I'm genuinely looking forward to the billing. This is one of those matches where they have people cutting promos for it, and they're simply just saying this person's in the match, and here's this storyline, and here's that. But the billing of it happening inside of WWE headquarters on top of a building, it's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. I'm on board for that. And now we know that they're going to happen at the same time. I know many people say WWE doesn't try things, but recently, especially since WrestleMania, they've been trying a lot of fairly new things in terms of who's at the top, who gets the most TV time, who's a new title contender, and we'll kind of talk about that. Everyone, comes down and they're not pushing this person, that they're pushing a lot of people right now who didn't exactly have the spotlight on them. They were there, they were stars, but didn't have the spotlight on them, at least in the last year. With the women, though, you really think Shayna is the one to lock that in there, though?
Yeah, Shayna, as soon as she comes out, she scares me. And I think that's why she's my pick. She's so intimidating.
All right. On the men's side, people, Logan Blade texted in here saying that it looks like Aleister Black. He had a really, really strong promo tonight. I enjoyed his rebuttal to the man that made the night. I think really the big talking point was the return tonight of AJ Styles. Yes, he did not get buried alive, though they did mention he was buried. He was legitimately buried. But AJ's back. He did, of course, have to reference it, saying it happened, and I got out of the grave, and here I am, and I won this gauntlet match. I enjoyed the gauntlet match. I thought it was a way to get a bunch of different people that want to have some shine in that match. And the way they mentioned that Bobby Lashley got himself disqualified. And Lana said, well, if I was there, that wouldn't have happened. So they continue that storyline. It reminded me a little bit of like a diet version of the Royal Rumble, where you have a lot of different people who have a lot of different angles and storylines playing in. Umberto Carrillo being that guy who just seems to never be able to break through the glass ceiling, but he looked strong. Everyone's really burying him. No, he was on TV for 30 minutes. He was on TV for 30 minutes of a 3-hour TV show. You're not buried if you're on TV that long. Yeah. And of course, AJ comes out as the last guy in the gauntlet match and forces Umberto, who had to last with 3 different guys, to get through there. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was
and
great.
AJ is
it was
back.
the best night. The best part of the night for me. It was 7 matches long.
It was long. It was almost nearly an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel like it dragged,
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't feel like it dragged here at all. And it got a lot of people on television in a productive way, Stephen Chambers looking like Money in Bank is shaking up to be a great pay-per-view to watch this Sunday. So some excitement for that show there as well. Yeah. Stephen also chiming in here on not surprised AJ will get the case. If AJ gets it, Drew versus AJ will be a great match. So AJ Styles is in the Money in the Bank. Do you think that kind of changes it? Because it felt like it was Aleister Black's match to win here, or at least he was the favorite. Now, here's the thing. Money in the Bank, I don't think is a match that is easy to predict. There's been many, many times when it felt like, oh, they're going with this guy, and they completely went a different direction. And this one, because of the circumstances, there's a lot more going on. They're fighting in a building, all right? So they're not fighting they're fighting in a building to get to a ring. As silly as that sounds, I'm on board with it. But do you think AJ being there kind of changes it? Does AJ become the favorite? Because I'm thinking it's 50-50 between AJ and Aleister Black right now for me.
Yeah, I'm way more interested now in the match that AJ's in it. Who would I rather have in the match, Apollo or AJ? I'm going with AJ. I honestly think AJ is my new favorite pick. I know I've been saying that it's Aleister, but I think I want AJ to win. I think he could take it.
I think so too. I think AJ chasing for the title is something else, but there's gonna be people saying we got buried at WrestleMania. How can you?
We thought he died.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Money in the Bank is this like get it, quick save type of element. It's, you know what I mean? It's you get it, you press the button, boom, you're in the match. Like that's kind of what it is, and it doesn't matter where you're ranked. You can immediately propel yourself into any title match situation. You have complete power over a champion. You're booking yourself into a title match. I think AJ having that could be interesting. I do think it would be a little bit more entertaining to see Aleister Black as this creepy loner have it. AJ cut a promo afterwards saying, I got out of the grave. I have all these things. I'm dusting it off, and here I am. I'm still phenomenal. I thought Aleister Black had a better promo in terms of the guys who pitched to, hey, I'm in this match. Rey Mysterio said this is, I don't think I have any matches left. They mentioned other guys that are in the match, but Aleister Black cut this promo and he says, you're just another person that says things that you think you're going to do. And I'm a person who says things and I do them. And the presentation, and he had like a thematic presentation to it. He had creepy music behind them. I don't know what medallion he was wearing. I kept looking at it. Was he hypnotizing me with it? I'm on board for either one of them winning here. Let's see what people are saying here. Mock Attack saying, can Money in the Bank winner challenge for either WWE or Universal title? Well, they did mention this on Raw, and this has kind of been their MO. I know for fans that watch all the time, what title can they win for? Well, it's brand specific. They kind of mentioned that tonight. It wasn't a huge talking about, but I did hear them say it. If you're on Raw and you win, you can challenge for the men's world title on Raw, the women's world title on there, vice versa on SmackDown. So just to get that out of the way. Now, mind you, maybe people could jump brands with it, but we've seen that before. That's been the way they've done it. They've used it before. But I don't see them doing it. I don't see that happening. Yeah. In general here, what did you think of Raw? We had some highlights. We had some other different things on it. I enjoyed the Street Profits versus Viking Raiders non-title match. Street Profits say, hey, these Viking Raiders guys has always been above us. We're the tag team champions, and these guys have always gotten some step above us, and we never got to have, that straight one-on-one with them that we want. And they had a really competitive non-title match, and the Raiders won. So basically, this sets the Raiders up to be, taking on the Raw tag team titles. I thought it was a good match. I thought for the first time, I thought Dawson, like Angelo, really kind of stood out there a little bit. Mostly it's the Montez Ford show, and Dawkins gets in there and does some big things near the end. But there was some different stuff here. I got to say this: you haven't seen the Raiders in a match in a few weeks on TV. They did have that goofy karaoke promo a few weeks ago. But these guys are just so good in the ring. They're just they're big guys that work like cruiserweights. Ibar moves like a tank, but is doing cartwheels and backflips. It's entertaining. What did you think of Street Profits versus Viking Raiders?
I thought it was a really good match. Like you said, we haven't seen, the Viking Raiders in a while. So I thought it was cool to see them out. And I didn't think it was going to be a long match. And it ended up being, pretty lengthy. So I'm glad that we got to see both these teams show their stuff because they are really good tag teams. And I am looking forward to this future, hopefully, pay-per-view match with both teams go for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, they don't do anything with the tag titles. Well, here they are. They're doing something. So It's one of those things where people always bring it when they're not doing something. When they do it, nothing.
They don't get it. They don't like to give credit.
Yes. They don't love. That's where we get to the burying thing. Are you ready for me to bury everyone who misuses the word bury that's coming up? Do you think people misuse the word bury? That is our hot topic. We will have it at the end of the show. I want to know what you think about it. Also, current United States, there is one state besides Florida that wants pro wrestling back, and we will talk about that within the next few minutes as well. Overall, Monday Night Raw, another big match that I saw a lot of people get very, very mad about, and I dip into another subculture of wrestling internetdom that is really alarmingly out of touch with reality, and that is stan culture. All right. I have been told that I am sexist. I have been told that I am mean to people. I'm too mean because I went off on stan culture. I got that a few months ago. And I was told that you just don't know what it's like. And I was told in a conversation with someone that I shouldn't say those things about female wrestlers because you don't know about it. I was like, I've been watching my whole life. All right, whatever. But I have to talk about this. A lot of people very angry with Liv Morgan stepping up against Charlotte Flair tonight, coming out here, cutting her off, making fart noises. It sounded like a fart noise on the microphone. And it was not. And said you had a silver spoon up your ass or your mouth. I don't know which one. Hopefully not both. You shouldn't be trading. That's a whole other thing here. And we got to see Charlotte Flair versus Liv Morgan. A lot of people thought, this should be a pay-per-view match. You just gave it away. What do you think of Liv Morgan versus Charlotte? Because it had a lot of mixed reactions online. Because everyone's like, they're just going to make her lose to Charlotte. Everyone loses to Charlotte. Everyone loses to Charlotte. What do you think of this? Because there was a lot of Liv Morgan stans on Twitter just saying she got buried. She got buried.
That was my second favorite match of the night, second to the gauntlet match. But I thought that Charlotte was really good at putting Liv over because that was the point of this match. Like, it wasn't for Liv to win. It was for her to go, toe-to-toe with Charlotte. So the fact that Liv was able to do that in the first place, I thought was great. I really love Liv. She's having really, really good momentum so far. So I'm excited to see where Liv goes. She said herself that she was a future champion, and I see it. I can relate to Liv Morgan. I see her as a champion. She's a little younger, so she can relate, to the younger women that watch wrestling.
That is another thing. I always see a lot of people that kind of connect with her look and her feeling and her presence. There is a lot of young fans that want to see a young superstar upset the established order.
Yeah, and she comes out saying that, like, she's trying to find out who she is, and girl, same, because me too. Like, everybody's struggling.
That I don't know myself, but I want to find myself.
But I want to find out who I am.
I want to find out who I am, and in doing that, it's like, oh, come on, dude. That's a bunch of that is catnip. That is catnip. I'm sorry. I will say that is catnip for any woman under the age of like 28. You know what
honestly, I mean? Because she's like a year older than me. I think she's like 25, and she comes out with a good look.
Am I not
she
wrong?
Comes out with
like
good
that is
moves.
appealing. Yeah, that is appealing. Like the whole. I don't know who I am, but I'm going to find out who I am in that ring. And I was like, all right, I can get that. Yeah.
And I'm a big hater of Charlotte. I mean, I love her, but I love to hate her. And
well, let's get into it. Let's bring it on, Fiero. I want to get into this because this is the buried thing, okay?
And
what is the hatred on Charlotte? What is the hatred on her? I don't get it.
For the longest time, I saw Charlotte as like the person who got all the opportunities, who, the daughter of Ric Flair. But I did see why she was getting the opportunities that she was getting, because she is phenomenal in the ring. She's super athletic, extremely talented. She's great on the mic, and she's good at working with girls who don't know how to wrestle. I'm not saying that a lot of girls don't know how to wrestle, but if you don't know how and you're in a match with Charlotte, Charlotte will make you look good. That wasn't the case tonight, but Charlotte has now become one of my favorite people. Like, I know if she's in the match, it's going to be a good match, but I'm rooting for whoever is going against Charlotte, no matter what.
Is it just because Charlotte has been at the top so long?
Yeah, and I think that's why I got behind Becky. That SummerSlam match where it was for the women's championship, and then that's when Becky like turned heel, and that's when her, the man thing started. But it was easy for me to get behind someone who wasn't Charlotte.
Someone who wanted to text into the show but not actually appear on the show, Robert.
Wow,
DeFelice.
Robert.
Here's the thing. I'm committed. I know, Iridian, we've got you here on Monday nights. I'd like to have you here with us after Raw as long as we can. Robert DeFelice, I know he's committed, but does enjoy pissing people off. Robert DeFelice, enemy of fun, continues to be an enemy of fun, saying,
the hater
not
of
buried.
joy.
She did lose, though. Charlotte is the queen. Quote, suck it, nerds.
That's not us saying it. That's Robert, guys.
We're putting that all on Robert DeFelice. But
yeah.
But this whole anti-Charlotte sentiment, amongst specifically like fans of the female superstars, she is enemy number one. Like she is she is the most hated person in wrestling, even more than Ronda Rousey.
But people, I hate Ronda Rousey. She is not more hated than Ronda Rousey, Kev.
But is it just because, like, no one denies, anyone who hates her doesn't deny that she's talented or has great matches?
Yeah,
or
but she's doing her job. Like, Charlotte's job is a heel. She's not the face of WWE right now. Like, that's her job. Is for, like, if I hate her, she's doing a great job. Good job, Charlotte. They got me.
Yeah. But is it just because she's been there and you just want something new? Is that all it is?
Yeah, I think so. And it's getting there too, with Becky. I don't hate Becky, but I want to see other people, which is why I'm so excited to see Liv, to see Charlotte go back to NXT and go against Io Shirai. So I'm ready for these new matchups.
I question the ride or die of this fandom. I question it. It
question
like
the ride or die?
Yeah, I question the ride or die-ness of this fandom, because it seems like you just want to see the upheaval more than the heave and the weight being put on somebody. Because here's the thing. I'll say this. Io Shirai is in position, and we know this, though we've only seen Shirai and Charlotte interact a little bit. She has the title shot at the NXT Women's title. We're seeing NXT getting a rub on Raw. People kind of upset that they're doing it with Charlotte, and it's all this. But here's the thing. You care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you would care as much if someone else took that title off. If Charlotte took that title off somebody, that pisses people off, right? But you care. If somebody beats Charlotte, isn't that more of a rub than if they beat somebody else who has the title in NXT that maybe you're a little familiar with? But Charlotte's been in the game 5-6 years in terms of there is no women's evolution without her. There is no women's main event at WrestleMania without her. And let me say that is true. All right. That match at WrestleMania last year was better because Charlotte was in it. All right. And there is no presence of this brand in terms of being seen as legitimate athletes. Another thing is Charlotte can carry herself. If she went at one of the men, you would believe it. And that isn't any shot at any of the women. You could be like, all right, well, she's just been there long enough. It could happen. So you could get into it. And the thing is, I think more people care when she loses the title and puts it on somebody than if it was just Shayna saying, all right, well, here we go. It's a ladder match. I'm leaving. I'm going to Raw. And here you go. You can fight for this title. Like, that wouldn't do any favors to it. So I think the title is going to get more benefit to it. I think it may end up looking better than Raw or SmackDown women's title right now. Yeah. I certainly feel it gets more featured. Bayley's certainly taking a back seat to this will I won't I with Sasha thing. And she's going to have a title match this Sunday. But I don't know. I'm not bought on the whole anti-Charlotte thing. Tell me wrong. Hit me up, anti-Charlotte fans. At Kev Kellum, at WrestleZone.com on Twitter. If you're just joining us, we'll be talking about the Oklahoma situation involving pro wrestling. No, I'm not talking about the musical. I'm talking about other things. We have that story for you at WrestleZone.com, along with a couple other things here. Do want to talk about this. Monday at Raw set up a bunch of different things, including Drew McIntyre versus Buddy Murphy in the main event. We got to see Seth Rollins, the challenger for Drew McIntyre in the WWE Championship, twice tonight. He cut a pretty good promo in the ring with Charlie Caruso, and I thought him having no fans is starting to be really good. I think his promos are coming off really, really good with no fans there. You get to hear the methodical notions, the lost narcissism, the idea that I'm not the villain, I'm the hero. That element of him is starting to come through.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy that there's no fans, because at this point nobody can boo Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins should not be booed.
What?
I don't think he should be booed.
Iridian, explain. He's the villain. Why should he not be booed? He's a delusional cult leader.
I love Seth Rollins right now. He's the savior of the situation, Kev. He's saving Drew McIntyre. That jacket is incredible. It needs its own Twitter account. He's coming out.
What about the glove? Does his
oh my God,
account?
That's amazing. That's amazing. No, the glove gets a separate account. Yeah. They can't steal each other's spotlight. But I think Rollins is doing great. Like, that character is amazing right now.
All right. So you're with it. You're with it.
Here. Yeah, I'm with it. But of course, I'm rooting for Drew.
Okay, all right. So Drew versus Buddy Murphy in the main event of the show. We didn't think Drew was going to win this match. We did know that once we saw Seth Rollins at ringside, we're like, all right, there's going to be some shenanigans here, and there was. But they teased it as if Rollins was just going to walk out of the ring. Here it is. It's 9:58. I'm looking at the clock. I was like, they got a little bit more here. And he goes all the way to the back, only to run away around to the other side of the ring, off to the side. I wish they would have showed like a big wide shot where he just ran all the way down and got in. And he was just a snarly little heel, and he attacked him from behind, and he yelled, "This isn't because of the title, Drew. This isn't because of you. I have to do this. If I'm not the champion, how could there even be a champion? Because he's a narcissist." All right. So so I enjoyed that just little added tease. So WWE's been doing some things we've seen them do before, but just adding just enough sauce to make it a little bit different, just a little something extra to kind of flip it a little bit. I enjoyed it. Drew versus Rollins, I think, is a great match. I think Rollins' job this Sunday is to remind you that Drew McIntyre is the guy that we're going with right now as the WWE champion. Drew is getting on a Sunday with that title.
Oh yeah, he's not losing that belt.
I don't see him losing that belt. And also, if they have that match at the Performance Center, and then they have the Money in the Bank match in Stamford, Connecticut, I don't think anyone is going to do a Money in the Bank cash in. So that could be the only thing we write off on this show. So I'm okay with that there.
Yeah.
Overall, pretty average Raw. I mean, I didn't think it was an awful Raw. I did like the use of the flashbacks of different Money in the Bank moments, reminding how they can do some surprising things and wild ladder action, and that was good. Just using your tape library and fleshing that out. I enjoyed what they did with the tag teams. I mentioned, we have that new tag team from Australia, Shane Thorne and Fink, beat an established team in Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. That was kind of a surprise. Not a fantastic match. It wasn't a great show, but a pretty solid show. I give it a 7 out of 10. What do you give it? 7 out of 10? Where are you going? You going higher or lower than that?
Yeah, no, I give it the same, 7 out of 10. I do think it was better than last week's episode of Raw. So maybe it's because it's before the pay-per-view.
True. You get a little bit of that last minute action, and I'm verging on a 7.5 just because AJ showed up, and we knew at some point AJ was going to be coming back this month. We knew that a few months ago, but it was just a matter of was it going to be before or after the pay-per-view. Next week's Raw, though, does look exciting. Becky Lynch will be on after her run on Billions on Showtime. I did not get to see it. I heard she did a great job.
It was on Twitter. And she was the man. It was great.
Okay, all right, so you approve.
Okay.
And we're getting Edge versus Orton. And now it isn't clear to me if they actually said this is a match, but we know that they will be at the Performance Center together. So that was a match that had a lot of mixed reactions, but certainly the best storyline going into WrestleMania. The match itself, 50-50 on a lot of different people's ends here. What did you think of Raw? Sean Smith gave it a 10 out of 10. James Dozel was not a fan of it. He gave it a 4 out of 10.
4?
He was that is not a good rating. He was
disappointed.
Richard Weaver gave it a 7.5 out of 10, so he's right there with me here. And a bunch of different takes here. Michael Corvington said, I'll give it a 8 out of 10. Well run, meaningful storyline, and matches. All right, so he's
a lot of WWE was trending on Twitter, but usually, they are on Mondays. But guess who was also trending? Humberto, Bobby Lashley, Angel Garza, and Shelton Benjamin. So I thought that was pretty cool for them to be trending tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's noticeable, people mentioned WWE's TV ratings or this or that. I would love to see what those social media trends are. And when you say those trends, it doesn't just include, hashtag WWE Raw, or hashtag SmackDown or NXT or AEW Dynamite or anything like that. In terms of a TV show, I like to see all of it. I remember I was watching The Last Dance. You've seen some of these, haven't you? You have to have seen some of this. This ESPN documentary took over social media. It took it over. And I wouldn't, if once you start playing on that level, it's really good. Now, is this WrestleMania social media numbers? Not exactly. That was 13.8 million, but when people say, the TV ratings are bad, you look at the audience, it's still pretty engaged. But Raw ratings have not been super fantastic. They've been some of their lowest non-holiday numbers the past few weeks. Maybe fans are just not feeling that no fans element. They need some fans there to cheer. Do you think that may be a tune-out element there?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are turned off by the fact that there are no fans, and they'll see that nothing's happening, and they'll just go and leave and change the channel. But I think they're missing out on some really good stuff.
Yeah, and I do think that WWE's trying, especially in Raw. Paul Heyman's at the hand there, and they're trying some things with a handful of new talents. And Drew McIntyre certainly is a fresh take on a WWE champion. And when someone told me he was going to be a babyface, I was like, I don't know, and it kind of works because he's saying I'm never gonna run from the fight. Always gonna. I'm going to come out. Reminds me a little bit what Bret Hart was doing in the 90s when he was like the fighting champion. When they took the dice and they rolled it on Bret, and you lost a lot of big superstars in the early 90s, and they have that new generation. Drew McIntyre kind of reminds me of that. It's like, well, we're going to have these part-time guys. Let's really go with someone who's going to be there week to week. And there's a lot of other circumstances there for why this isn't happening. This whole pandemic thing that keeps getting involved in every walk of life. I'm not going to dig into the politics of it, but I do want to talk about a story we've been covering at WrestleZone.com involving the state of Oklahoma. Their government reportedly is looking at the idea of getting combat sports, MMA, and pro wrestling presented live with some form of an audience, with social distancing measures and all the different safety precautions that you can have, and being able to have those events in the state of Oklahoma. Now, when you think pro wrestling, I don't think anyone says Oklahoma. Most people just think, Jim Ross is from there. But what do you think here? This is a power move by a region of the United States that doesn't scream big live events. Could this maybe lure a big pay-per-view of some kind from WWE or even AEW over to the prairie state that is Oklahoma?
I don't know. That's a weird thing. Like, when you told me it was Oklahoma, I was like, what? Why?
Mm-hmm.
But
Florida
what's in Oklahoma?
Let's say it honestly. WWE's been able to do everything they've done since the stay-at-home orders came into place in Florida. Some people have been critical of them being deemed an essential business by the state of Florida. Shenanigans assumed and abound and accused, but whatever. I brush those aside because they're there. Like, there's nothing we can't go back in time and say they're not going to be there. They're there. And now there's plenty of reports expecting that AEW will be presenting content from Jacksonville or in the state of Florida. They've been taped content from Norcross, Georgia, reportedly at the gym of QT Marshall on the AEW roster. So a lot of different takes there on how this is being done. It would be interesting to see how this would be done. At some point, we're going to see wrestling fans at televised wrestling events, and we keep talking about this on our shows. Do you think there's a little bit of a race in the two big television companies to get even just a small semblance of fans back in a show?
Oh, definitely. Even with bringing the wrestlers back, this Wednesday night we're gonna have like Joey Janela with Cody Rhodes, and we haven't seen Joey Janela since like the quarantine. And next week on Raw, they mentioned Edge and Randy, so you're getting your
we haven't seen
wrestlers
them
back
since
out there.
WrestleMania. Yeah, we haven't seen them since WrestleMania. So, and that's another thing about this quarantine to think about too, is it limits the amount of people you can have at a show. You know what I mean? Like you see this. Oh, but people bring this up to me a few weeks ago. How come they're doing, why did they do this match? And then the match ends, and then the same people in the match get put into a tag team match. Like, they had the same 6 people in the ring in 3 different matches a few weeks ago. Like,
and
for
you're like,
nearly
well, they
an hour.
only have those people.
Why was there a gauntlet match? Because they don't want to have a roster of 80 people. They want to try and have, let's try and do a show with 30. And also there was probably tape promos on tonight that featured talent that weren't actually there. And so that's to be said too. I also think maybe there's a chance you start seeing more shows in multiple locations where part of the show is taped and part of the show is live. We can tell you the Money in the Bank matches have already been taped. They're already in the can. Whoever won the Money in the Bank has already won it. So we'll find out that. And that's, part of the element here. What do you think here? If in AEW, anyone, does it make it more appealing? If you know there's going to be fans there, are you like, I got to watch this live? Because to me, even if it's a small crowd, even if it's like Raw in front of 150 people, I'm like, okay, cool. Who got in? I want to talk to who got into the show. I want to know what it's like.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Even watching AEW the first time, when they had a couple of their wrestlers in the crowd, like that made all the difference in watching wrestling, because you got to see what was happening on the side, and there was cheering, and there was an interaction with that, and I'm just like, oh, this is really interesting. It gives you something else.
There wasn't a lot of
to
social
watch.
distancing, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, definitely there was no social distancing whatsoever.
There was. When you saw WrestleMania, and they had like the 24/7 angle and like 14 people involved in one angle, and where Gronkowski fell off like the platform and stuff like that. So it goes both ways,
Yeah.
It is different when AEW has people outside the ring kind of cheering a little bit, and it kind of has kind of like a street fight feel to it, and I do think it adds, if you just kind of removed yourself from the precautions of it. But then you have the crowd of people saying there shouldn't be any wrestling, but now we're at this point where, UFC is going to have a fight this weekend. They're going to have fights this weekend. They're going to have pay-per-views, and they're going to have 3 over the course of the month.
Yeah.
You're going to see
states are reopening. So of course you're going to maybe get,
with limits. So I don't think there's this rush to like green light go, because let's be honest, you and I know this. We're in Chicago. We're still a city that is not going to turn on anytime soon. Like,
definitely.
Even if it does click go, it's going to be like, this is go. Like you can do this, you can do this, this, and you're not going to do that. But then you have states like Missouri, like they say they want concerts. I don't know how you're going to do that. I don't know how you're going to run this stuff. Yeah. And I've seen the schematics for how arenas want to run. I mean, a lot of these arenas can open with 25% capacity. So is that worth running? Now you're operating at a loss. What is that going to be like? I just think really now from WWE, they've been on television the whole time. People are just going to want to see TV sports. They're going to want to see sports on television. That's it. And if you can do it with a crowd or not, or a limited crowd, you're going to see it before the end of the summer.
Yeah.
So good take there. I do want to talk about this. Jesse Ventura, WWE Hall of Famer, has been once again stirring the pot. He was the former governor of the state of Minnesota. And he seems to do this about every 4 years. Talks about running for president. And now it seems like there's a legitimate chance that old Jesse, the mind, not the body, the mind, could run for president. A ridiculous story. We're following at WrestleZone. I would want to get into it more, but I don't know the complete thing here because it's still sort of developing. This could change tomorrow. He could say it was just, I'm not doing it. And tomorrow he is, but we'll find out. Who knows? We have a WWE Hall of Famer in the White House already, so what's the difference? But let's get into this hot topic. We talked about it earlier, and if you're with me live, I want to know your take on this as well. People use this tonight. Did Liv Morgan get buried tonight?
No, Liv Morgan is, if anything, got pushed more to stardom tonight.
Mhm.
After that match with Charlotte, people use buried like I don't understand. Like AJ Styles got buried alive. Like that's when you should be using that term, guys. Not
Well,
like
also,
somebody
let's be
lost a
frank.
match.
The term is used for people that are just they go up and then their star is brought down and they've been positioned down and that's it. That they've lost whatever momentum they had, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's a rush to say someone is buried once they win a match. I heard people say tonight that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander are buried. No, they just became a tag team a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
they're barely a tag team. Like they're very fresh. They cannot get buried. They haven't even started, guys.
Exactly. And did they get buried by building up a new possible rival? And then if they have a new rival, then they have a storyline. It's like everyone just wants to react, but still say, look, well, I know who got buried. I know what's up because I've been watching. So I know that this guy's buried. And Vince only likes big guys. He only likes big guys, right? He only likes the big guys. And if Vince, it's like that same type of like hive mentality. This guy got buried. This gal got buried. The Liv Morgan, she got buried because she had to tap out. No, Charlotte's finisher, she taps people out. That's her finisher. Or she can do natural selection if she wanted to, like the over the head face smasher. So like I really think it's a played out term. I'm very angry with it. I think more you're buried if you're not on TV. You're buried if you're featured just a little bit. And that's it. And it doesn't have any functional. It's just filler. You want to talk about who's buried now? I haven't seen R-Truth. Has he been buried?
Yeah.
Probably more than someone who lost a match on TV tonight. You want to know why? Because they were on television and R-Truth wasn't on TV. And so when I see this term, especially now with limited rosters and all these different things here, I really think people got to check themselves on that buried thing. They really, really need to here.
Yeah, I think it's an
Scott
overused term.
Yeah, Scott tweeted me about this earlier tonight. Scott says Ricochet and Cedric were buried before they became a team, Kev. How?
Maybe it's the shorts.
How? Oh, well, Ricochet had that match against Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia, which was not a great match, right? But how are they buried? You're buried if you're not on TV. That's the way I look at it. Like, and if you're on TV and you're buried and you're made to look really bad, okay, I can see that too, But come on, really? I don't beat this. I don't buy this at all.
Yeah, just because someone's not, I don't know, just because someone's not there doesn't mean they're buried. Is Robert buried because he's not on the live stream tonight?
Well, Robert buried himself by not being on the live stream. Robert got his own shovel out. And
he dug his own grave and he dropped in there.
I will give Robert this. There's friends of mine who don't watch the show live and are now starting to ask me like, dude, what's the deal with you and Robert, man? Like, what's the deal with you and Robert? You guys got into it. Yeah. And I throw the ball back and forth with Robert, but I've started to tell him like, dude, you're the enemy of fun on this show. And I just call people on their shit. Like, you want to have some fun? We'll have some fun. I'm going to call you on your bullshit. and he's like, no, part of the fun is not having fun.
What? No. That sounds like a Robert thing.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll follow this up as the WrestleZone turns. We'll find out tomorrow, and I'll get something from it. I love you, Robert. Don't worry, you're fine. And a lot of different takes here. Yes. Yeah, you guys can read into this one here. A lot of different takes here. Here we go. Vernon chiming in on this buried topic. What would be if a wrestler jobbed every week? Buried? Yes, they would be buried. They would be a jobber. But here's the thing. I think the word buried started to get used a lot more on wrestling circles. Is when we didn't have jobbers anymore. We don't really have enhancement wrestlers that you don't see on TV every week. You've seen some NXT guys get brought over to Raw really to be enhancement work, which really I don't think does much favors for them when they go back over to NXT.
Yeah.
But you don't see like nameless back in the 90s, nameless wrestler on TV. They get fed to upcoming superstar. Like that was functional television, just purely to build up a guy and get him ready for another match or hold him over until he takes on another superstar instead of a local performer. Like it was different terms for it. And they were doing this with women. They were feeding Nia Jax, a bunch of different
Yeah.
local wrestlers on television for a while. But now I don't think with the circumstances with WWE, you don't see them doing this. AEW is fond of it though. They're going to bring in those talents. I don't know. Part of it is you don't have jobbers anymore. So everyone just wants to say, well, these are the people that are buried. Like this person is buried. They have to be able to bury somebody too. I think it's more that than anything. This has to be brought up here. Saul bringing buried in WWE, unfortunately, like EC3, one of the many talents in WWE, released. He put out something where he says he's controlling his narrative and buried his theme song. He literally buried it with a shovel. So more burials in the world of wrestling. What do you see for EC3 in the world beyond WWE? He's certainly somebody that I thought maybe he got buried because you didn't see him on TV. Okay, I'll agree with you. Maybe he got buried. And there was a lot of expectations for him on NXT going over Raw, and those expectations certainly were not met by him, maybe even his fan base. Now he's out there. What do you see with him outside of WWE? Does he go back to Impact? Do you see him in AEW?
I definitely see him probably going back to Impact. I was excited for him to be on Raw. And, I remember that that promo that he had with John Moxley at the time. He's like, what happened to EC 1 and 2 or something like that? And I was like, oh my God, these guys are great. And it just nothing happened with him. I don't understand. I thought he was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but maybe he was buried.
Scott George, if Wendy loses at Yummy in the Bank this Sunday, she'll be buried. It's taken me 40 minutes to bring this up, and I'm really, really bad at promoting things, but I wanted to just get into the show. Yummy in the Bank is our fast food fracas. We will have Wendy from Wendy's. We will have the Burger King, Ronald McDonald, the Taco Bell Chihuahua. All right, all of these fast food mascots climbing up one greasy ladder to get the golden coupon, which will then grant them a cash in, not at a value meal. Oh, no. It's something much more delicious. The Fast Food World Championship. It's video game simulated madness. We will stream it, I believe, the afternoon of Money in the Bank, before Money in the Bank goes live at 6 Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We will have that show for you. That is the plan right now. If that changes, I'll let you know. I do want to bring this up to you, though. Money in the Bank. We're going to do a watch along this Thursday. And I want you to hit me up at WrestleZone.com on Facebook this Thursday night. We're going to do a watch along of some classic Money in the Bank matches that you can watch for free on YouTube. You don't even need the network. You can just watch these matches on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch them with us live in real time. So that's pretty cool. I'll be doing that this Thursday. Coming up, I believe today is the 4th. May the 4th be with you or whatever. If you don't have Disney Plus, go ahead and do that. That'll be coming up on May the 7th. What's going on over at Rest Friends?
Rest Friends have a new video coming out this Friday. I'm so excited. It took me forever to film. It's something that you guys will love. So make sure you go on YouTube.
Your head is swiveling. You're doing the head swivel. So there's a lot of excitement there.
I'm so excited for it.
What's going on in this video? Because you guys have a good editorial style that I like. It's you kind of take a topic and you get a little bit more encapsulated. What do you guys got going on in this next one?
So I don't want to give away too much because it's a surprise for my quarantined rest friend Teddy. So it involves me dropping something off to her, and you guys will just have to wait and see what it is and how she reacts to it. So I'm super excited for that.
I'm on board. Yeah. I love a good surprise. I love a good surprise. I love a good feel good surprise.
I feel like it's going to be a real good feel good video, so I'm excited.
I have a feel good ending. I have a feel good ending for tonight's show, and you've seen the story. We had up at WrestleZone.com. It was something I woke up on Monday, and the news is negative, and it's bad, and in some ways it may not get better. Even if you can go to an Applebee's, guys, it isn't going to get much better, much quicker, right? But it is Make-A-Wish month, and I'm not being the corporate shill for WWE mentioning this. It is a great thing that they do. There are terminally ill children that are stuck inside, and they watch wrestling. And they were stuck inside before this pandemic happened, or they're stuck inside a hospital, and they are removed from the innocence and fun of being a kid. And they get to watch it, but they have a lot of challenging things. And some of them have terminal illnesses, as sad as that may be. They have them, and there is a certain fight there that you have to keep having. And we know it. John Cena has been the guy for Make-A-Wish. He's granted so many wishes, and today he went even to a whole other level. He showed up in full gear at a child's house who is fighting a terminal illness with his kidneys. And this child has been fighting this illness since October. Right? He's an 8-year-old boy. He's a boy. He shouldn't have to worry about something like that, but that is the case. And he showed up in full gear with Never Give Up to hang out with this kid, face mask and all, and the gloves on. You got to assume that he had to be tested multiple times to be, around a kid who has, some type of issue like that. And a kid who's going on underneath treatment as well. It already makes him, fragile as it is. But an absolutely touching moment to see this. This guy is on a whole other level of kindness and being endearing. I've always admired the way he's been able to carry himself. It was moving to see this him just embracing this kid, hanging out with his family. It's something he's done 100 times, but maybe there's just a little bit more like resonance with it just because of what's going on.
Yeah. I've always loved John Cena for, everything that he does, especially with Make-A-Wish. John Cena is the reason why I started watching wrestling, and to see him represent the company so well and to just be the person that he is, it's honestly incredible. I admire him so much for this. I really hope to meet him one day, hopefully.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things that you got to appreciate. Even if people don't respect wrestling, you're like, look at this. Anytime anyone says they don't like wrestling, this is one of my things.
Yeah, and he's got one of the people that has the most Make-A-Wish.
Let me just pull this photo up. I know it seems like I'm pulling out an ace or something like that, but it is one of those things. I think the best piece of WWE footage of all time is Connor the Crusher, Connor McCulloch, who's Connor's cure, and a great story there with him. This kid, you've seen the video. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. And it's this kid who got to have an experience at WWE while he was fighting a very terminal illness that affected his head and skull and affected his ability to grow as a kid. And he unfortunately lost his life to it. His favorite wrestler was Daniel Bryan, and he got to come down to the ring and have the entrance, and all the wrestlers got around the ring. And Triple H got in the ring and leaned over and said, "Come on, you're going to hit me, kid, right here, right here." Triple H takes this punch and does a big back body jump. And I remember watching, and all the wrestlers were like, "You got to pin him. Yeah, pin him." And he goes, "What?" And the kid gets him. And my favorite part it's obviously everything that he does is watching all the wrestlers already happy to cheer on this kid, but cheer him on as a wrestler because he hooked the leg.
Yeah.
He's a little tiny kid, and he remembered to who could barely get his hand up to pull Triple H, and you see leg. Triple H with this looking up at the lights with this big smile on his face, and he goes, "Yeah, sure, kid, I'll lift my knee up for you." And it was just the best. He hooked the leg. He was such a good wrestling fan. He wasn't just a fan. He was more than a fan. It was the best thing for him to have this. And those special moments, they're special. There's an innocence about kids enjoying wrestling. It's kind of the reason why we still like it. It's probably something you liked in different stages of your youth. And now here I am in my 30s. Probably I'm going to be in my 40s or 50s watching wrestling and yelling at those same children at the arena because my favorite guy beat up their favorite guy. And isn't it, at the end of the day, isn't that what it's about? We're all just fans of this thing. So I think sometimes it gives you some ease there. All right. If they want to give you a follow, where do they go?
Yeah, so on YouTube, follow us at Rest Friends, and it's the same with, our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and listen to the podcast on Spotify and iTunes, the Rest Friends podcast.
Yeah, and go ahead. Once again, if you're just joining us, check out WrestleZone Radio. We have a lot of great bonus stuff up there. AEW World Champion Jon Moxley just joined us on there. In-depth look at his upcoming movie Cage Fighter, which will be available on Fight TV. Baron Black, independent breakout superstar, had his debut on AEW. He gave us 40 minutes and told us about the whole experience of how the show was taped and what he thinks he got out of that. We have that as well. A whole lot of content for you, plus 4 episodes of WrestleZone Daily. Those bonus interviews, none of it on the Patreon. Okay, we don't have a Patreon. It is all free to listen to. Okay, go listen whenever you want. You ever miss any of the dailies, you can also always get them in the WrestleZone Radio podcast feed. All right, we'll be back tomorrow in late afternoon. Maybe Robert will be there to be an enemy of fun. I'll be there as well. And when we watch wrestling, no matter what, it's important It's important whether you think someone's getting buried or not, whether you're climbing to the top of a building and teasing somebody getting thrown off a building. Yeah, that was teased. That you enjoy wrestling.